Hello, my name is Dr. Howard Chazin, and I'm the Director of the Clinical Safety Surveillance Staff in the Office of Generic Drugs. I'm going to talk to you today about post-marketing safety surveillance of generic drug products, an update. I'm going to explain why generic drugs might require post-marketing safety surveillance. I'm going to discuss some unexpected quality issues with generic drugs, and the concept of complex generic drug products under the Generic Drug User Fee Amendments. I'm also going to utilize examples to illustrate potential safety concerns, with a little focus on proactive approaches for generic drugs. Before I start, however, I think you need to have a little bit of understanding about the regulations that are different for generic drugs compared to brand name drugs. Section 505J of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act is where these regulations are found. Briefly, an abbreviated new drug application, or what I like to call an ANDA applicant, relies on FDA's finding that a previously approved new drug product, or the reference-listed drug, or RLD for short, is safe and effective. Therefore, an abbreviated new drug application must have the same active ingredients, conditions of use, route of administration, dosage form, strength, labeling with some permissible differences, and bioequivalence. And very importantly, no new clinical studies are necessary to establish safety or effectiveness. Bioequivalence studies, however, are necessary. However, generic drugs are not identical products. Because of patents and exclusivities in certain brand name drugs, there are some allowable differences allowed in generic drugs, and they are listed here. For example, the shape, release mechanisms, packaging, certain excipients, expiration time, container closures, etc. are allowed to be different in generic drugs. This does not make the generic drug any less safe or effective. Generic drugs are safe and effective. Most generic drug products do not have post-marketing safety or efficacy concerns. Of the hundreds of generic drugs approved and marketed every year, only a very small number of generic drug products have post-marketing safety issues or concerns. Generic drug post-marketing pharmacovigilance is unique to generic drugs. We have used our past experience with quality issues and developed new approaches to address more complex generic drug device combination products. We utilize drug marketing data to consider evaluating a potential safety signal or not. We proactively pharmacovigilance screen certain generic drugs after approval and marketing, and data mine MedWatch reports to detect any early signals of potential safety concerns. We're always working collaboratively with our post-marketing surveillance colleagues in other areas of the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, mainly in the Office of Compliance, the Office of Pharmaceutical Quality, and the Office of Surveillance and Epidemiology. Over the past decade, we've had experience with some quality issues with drug products. Some of them are listed here. Sometimes we've had examples where tablets have had quality issues. We've had precipitates in oral liquids and injectables, patches not sticking after a while and falling off, extended release products not lasting throughout the day, etc. Because of the wide range of these quality issues, we've had to have products recalled or otherwise reformulated to address these quality issues. One of the more recent techniques is the use of drug marketing data to assess the drug marketplace. As generic drugs are introduced over time, the brand loses market share, and within a few years, the generic drugs predominate the market, as seen here on the chart. Market share data can be used as an informal denominator to screen for generic drug safety concerns. Now you may ask, what is the numerator? Well, the numerator would be the number of complaints in the FDA adverse event reporting system. Let's utilize a real-life example to try to show you how we can combine some of these pharmacovigilance activities. Here you see the brand Adverdiscus, manufactured by GlaxoSmithKline, approved in 2003. It's a very popular inhaler on the market. Here below you see the generic Wixela InHub. manufactured by Mylan, which was approved in January 2019. As you can see, the Advair discus is held horizontally while inhaled, and the Wixela Inhub is held vertically while being inhaled. During review of this product, there were concerns addressed that patients might be confused with the orientation if they just picked up the product and didn't read the labeling. So, proactive pharmacovigilance screening was initiated to address any concerns regarding the different look and orientation of this first generic drug product compared to the brand. Over the first year of marketing, as Wixela and Hub gained market share, the Office of Generic Drugs' clinical safety surveillance staff monitored the FDA adverse event reporting system and the drug quality reporting system monthly throughout 2019 and throughout 2020. No quality or safety signals were detected. We couldn't do our work without the help of our collaborations across the other offices within CDER. Communicating to the public through research initiatives or directly to consumers may help mitigate safety risks of brand and generic drugs. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the latest trend and what's happening with generic drug products. These are called complex generic drug products. These could include anything that has a complex active ingredient or formulation, or a complex route of delivery, such as a locally acting drug, or a complex ophthalmological product. This could be a complex dosage form, such as a transdermal patch or extended release injectable. This could also include a complex drug device combination product, such as an auto-injector or metered dose inhaler. And it also includes products where complexity or uncertainty concerning the approval pathway or a possible alternative development approach would benefit from early scientific engagement. So these complex generic drug device combination products are becoming more popular and are starting conversations. They raise unique potential safety concerns related to either drug delivery, differences in the device constituents, or unexpected quality issues that may require immediate attention. I'm going to give you two examples of complex product safety post-marketing issues that have come up. I'm going to preview this by showing you how this came to be just by routine development. For example, when a pre-filled syringe containing a product is approved as a new drug or an abbreviated new drug application, and a general use auto-injector device to give that pre-filled syringe are approved as what's called a Part 510K application in the Center for Devices and Radiologic Health, there may be post-marketing messaging by application holders of these components to be used together by the target patient population that may cause confusion and safety issues. Other times, a potential safety issue can arise when a first generic drug product is introduced into a market, such as the Wixela Inhub that we just talked about. Here's an example of a complex product post-marketing safety issue. Copaxone auto-injector devices. Here you see an illustration of 3 different auto-injectors approved for pre-filled syringes of Copaxone, a drug for multiple sclerosis. The brand Teva was approved in 1996, and the generics Sandoz approved in 2015, and Mylan were approved in 2017. The drugs themselves are pre-filled syringes that were approved separately from these devices that were considered general use auto-injector devices. Then they were marketed independently by each manufacturer on their websites. Unfortunately, medical errors related to bent needles and injector failures began to be reported in the FDA adverse event reporting system since the generics were approved. We're not certain, but perhaps patients are using different refilled syringes in devices that were not compatible and are getting this to occur. This was an unforeseen circumstance of approving the drug and device separately and then recombining them for patients to use. Here's another example of a complex product post-marketing safety issue. Above, you'll see the brand Teva ProAir HFA albuterol sulfate inhaler, which was approved in 2004. Below, you'll see the generic by Perrigo Catalent of the same albuterol sulfate, which was a first generic approved on February 24, 2020. From April through August 2020, FDA received complaints of clogging of the generic inhalers, even after washing underwater and following labeling instructions. Sometimes MedWatch forms indicated inhaler malfunction or inhaler clogged. CDER's Office of Compliance, Office of Pharmaceutical Quality, and the Office of Generic Drugs post-marketing surveillance teams work together sharing data on the potential safety signal. Perrigo Catalent stopped producing and distributing the inhalers on August 21, 2020, and were investigating the malfunction. Perrigo Catalent voluntarily recalled these inhalers on September 17, 2020. So you can see how quickly, from approval to detection of a safety concern to recall, things can happen. Fortunately, this is something that's very rare and, again, was not foreseen to occur at the time of approval. Each time we have a generic drug post-marketing safety issue, we think about our generic drug stakeholders. We have increased the use of broad or focused drug safety alerts and communications when necessary. We would like to engage with the generic drug industry, provider, and pharmacy stakeholder groups. We appreciate feedback from patients and providers. We feel it is our duty to educate the public about the value of generic drugs through online postings, articles, webinars, and podcasts. We appreciate and would like to continue collaborating with our international partners across the globe. In summary, generic drugs are as safe and effective as brand drugs. Allowable differences on rare occasions may lead to unexpected or unanticipated quality or safety issues. Complex generic drug device combination products raise unique potential safety concerns, either due to drug delivery, differences in the device constituents, or unexpected quality issues that may require immediate action. Anticipating concerns related to increasing generic drug market share over time helps us focus our pharmacovigilance efforts. Internal conversations across CDER help engage our staff, support our ongoing research, and develop our public communications. Outreach to generic drug stakeholders is key to refining OGD's ongoing safety surveillance processes and procedures. Now it's time for some challenge questions. True or false? New clinical trials are necessary before a new generic drug is approved. I'll give you a little time to think of the answer. False. New clinical studies are not required for generic drug approval. The generic drug relies on FDA's finding that a previously approved drug product, the reference listed drug or RLD, is safe and effective. However, studies showing that the generic drug is bioequivalent to the RLD are necessary. Here's another challenge question. True or false? After the introduction of several generic drugs to the marketplace, the market share of brand drugs increases. False. After the introduction of several generic drugs, due to the lower price and drug competition, the market share of the brand drug typically decreases over time. Here are some helpful resources that might help you learn more about generic drug safety and surveillance. There's an article that we wrote several years ago about pharmacovigilance and risk management strategies, a podcast on challenges in generic drug safety and surveillance, and of course, every year, the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research publishes its drug safety priorities, and this is the latest one. I'd like to thank you very much for listening to my talk, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.